You see, the government thinks it can ride out any challenge or any crisis. If the same revelations had been made about any other government, say about 100 odd telephones are established to have been infiltrated, according to me, in any other democratic country, the government would have fallen. We think if opposition unity consolidates, we can field one candidate in at least 400 seats.
द क्विंट हिंदी, द क्विंट इंग्लिश और ब्लूमबर्ग क्विंट पर हम बात कर रहे हैं पूर्व वित्त और गृह मंत्री चिदम्बरम साहब से, जिनकी राय क्रिटिकल इश्यूज पर समझना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि जो क्लैरिटी और इंसाइट उनके पास होती है वो कमाल की होती है। सर, आपने हमारे लिए वक्त निकाला, बहुत शुक्रिया। सबसे पहले मैं आपसे बात करना चाहूंगा पेगासस इशू के बारे में, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट में सरकार ने अपना एक आर्गुमेंट रखा और वो आर्गुमेंट ये था कि उन्होंने डिनाई नहीं किया लेकिन कंफर्म भी नहीं कर रहे हैं और कह रहे हैं कि नेशनल सिक्योरिटी का मैटर है, पब्लिक में डिस्कस नहीं हो सकता, यानी कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी डेड एंड की तैयारी है। आप कैसे देखते हैं इसको?
See, one has to be careful about commenting because the matter is sub judice in the Supreme Court. The issue is very simple. The opposition does not want to know anything about national security. The opposition does not want to know whether they have targeted spies, suspected foreigners. We don't want to know all that. All that we want to know is a former election commissioner has been bugged. Journalists have been bugged. Political leaders have been bugged. It's nobody's case that the former election commissioner or the journalists or the political leaders were spies or terrorists. In nobody's case. All that we want to know is, one, did the government of India or any of its agencies acquire the Pegasus spyware? It's not ordinary software. It is made only for spying, hacking, infiltrating, and spying. Did the government of India or any of its agencies acquire the Pegasus spyware? Number two, was the spyware used to infiltrate the telephones of the former election commissioner, the journalists, and the political leaders? If you have infiltrated a spy or a suspected terrorist, we don't want to know all that. So these two questions, if they answer, the rest will answer itself.
But their defense basically is indication that they are not going to reveal anything. They will give some reply in a sealed cover. Will that be acceptable to Supreme Court?
I don't know what the Supreme Court will do or say. All I can point out is there is an earlier judgment of the Supreme Court delivered about 2 years ago, where they have frowned upon the sealed cover procedure. See, the sealed cover means the other side does not know what is there in the sealed cover. And our system of jurisprudence, our system of court hearing is facts must be known to both sides and then the judges must decide. It can't be one side giving some fact to the court and the court taking a view. Whether in this case, the Supreme Court will accept sealed cover or not, I leave it to the wisdom of the Supreme Court. I can't really comment on it except pointing out an earlier judgment on the subject matter.
Agreed. सर, अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने सरकार अभी भी कहती है कि हमको कुछ लोगों पर सस्पिशन था, जो आप जर्नलिस्ट या किसी की भी बात कर रहे हैं, उनका हमने कुछ देखा होगा, लेकिन ये हम आपको बता नहीं सकते इसके बारे में कुछ, क्योंकि कुछ मिला भी नहीं है, इसलिए वो तो हो गया। टेरर वगैरह के फोन, टेररिस्ट वगैरह का फोन हम टैप करते रहते हैं, उसको छोड़ दीजिए। बेसिकली वो लोग क्या आर्गुमेंट दे सकते हैं फ्रॉम योर लॉयर पर्सपेक्टिव? What can compel them to really give the information that you as an opposition are seeking?
You see, the government thinks it can ride out any challenge or any crisis. If the same revelations had been made about any other government, say about 100 odd telephones are established to have been infiltrated, according to me, in any other democratic country, the government would have fallen. In this case, the government is not even moved. It does not even stir in its chair because it thinks that the people of India are stoical people and they won't protest, which is perhaps true. The middle class must protest. If it can happen to 140, 150 mobile phones today, it can happen to 150,000 mobile phones tomorrow. In an election, it can happen to 1 million mobile phones tomorrow. Therefore, I think public opinion must crystallize and compel the government to disclose whether they have acquired the Pegasus software. See, the point is, this can't be hidden forever and forever. Like the Rafael case, they thought that it's dead and buried, but it's revived again. There's a formal investigation launched by France, the seller of the plane. Now, when that investigation comes, that report comes, I don't know what the report will say. Suppose it finds that favors were done, or money was transferred, or kickbacks were given. It'll be even more explosive than the Bofors gun, which is only 64 crore was alleged. And ultimately, no Indian politician received that money. Therefore, if the government thinks that forever and forever can then bury this truth, they are completely wrong. See, France is investigating, Israel is investigating, maybe Germany is investigating, maybe Hungary is investigating. And the journalists will continue to investigate. They're not going to close that book yet. They will continue to investigate, and more information will tumble out. So why can't the government honestly come forward and say, yes, we acquired the software, or we did not acquire the software? And then if they had acquired the software, whether it was actually used to hack into the telephones of, we are only talking about journalists, former election commissioner, and political leaders. We are not talking about spies. We are not talking about terrorists.
Right. Sir, आपने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा कि in any country the government would have been toppled. So despite such a lethal combination where it is a big political scandal, nothing much has moved in India. Is it a communication problem because Pegasus is a big complex issue and it doesn't resonate in the mass opinion, or it is entirely opposition's failure to make it a sharp focused issue because corruption works in political arena, or this kind of scandal works in political arena?
See, I cannot say why the people are so indifferent to these things. According to me, liberty is the most valuable right. I place it even above life, above food, above water. Liberty is the most valuable right. But if people are willing to have their liberty infringed or liberty encroached upon, what can I say? It is you can't expect the poor toiling masses to protest, because for them, everyday life is a big burden. But what about the middle class? What about the educated classes? What about the white collar? What about the teachers, the professors, the doctors, the lawyers? I am sometimes astonished by their sense of indifference.
So there was another suggestion that there can be a committee, Supreme Court will appoint a committee and committee will look into it. Is that a right way to deal with this matter in court?
See, people of India should know. I mean, the committee, who will be in the committee? If they put you in the committee, I'm willing to accept it. But I don't know who they will put in the committee. And ultimately, the committee's report has to be made public. At least the conclusions have to be made public. See, no committee report can remain secret forever. A committee report will also leak out someday or other. Therefore, if you have a committee, all right, we don't have to go through the process, but we need to know who will be on the committee. Number two, will the committee's conclusions be made public? So I think these are questions which the honorable judges of the Supreme Court will certainly consider. They have said so. They said we will consider and we will take a decision. I don't think they have made up their mind one way or other yet.
सर एक और कोर्ट है पार्लियामेंट, वहां पर मुझे लगा था कि अपोजिशन सरकार को कंपेल कर पाएगा इस पर बात करने के लिए, बट समवेयर द अपोजिशन एक्चुअली प्लेड इनटू द गवर्नमेंट्स हैंड बाय बायकॉटिंग द एंटायर सेशन एंड यू कुड नॉट एम्प्लीफाई द इशू.
That's the price we have to pay. You see, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that we want a discussion on Pegasus first, on the farm laws next, and on inflation third, and then participate in some bill on insurance or some bill on some other routine matter. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Either you have your cake or you eat your cake. If the opposition unitedly says these are the three issues we want discussed in that order, 1, 2, 3, this government is completely shameless. It stands up every day and every minister says, we are ready to discuss. Let's start the discussion. If the Pegasus discussion had started, and I told the minister, you are saying we're ready for discussion, start at 11 o'clock today. A Pegasus discussion will take 4 hours, 5 hours, and the matter will be over. And then take the farm bill, discuss it for 4 hours or 5 hours, then take inflation. Then you bring your bills. You say you're ready for discussion, but when we say Pegasus should be discussed first, we are ready to discuss Pegasus. The government says, no, we have to pass the bill. So there's a price we have to pay. But I think the Chief Justice of India did come down heavily on the government to say, how do you pass this tribunal's amendment bill without a discussion? We want to know what is the meaning of this bill. Now, nobody will know the meaning of the bill because there was no discussion on the bill. How will we know what the meaning of the bill is unless you have discussed the bill? And he did cite Comrade Ramamurthy's intervention in the Industrial Disputes Act way back. That's the way a bill is explained to the parliament, a bill is explained to the people, both by the ruling party and the opposition. But here the government passes it by stealth. The Economist has noted one bill was passed in 1 minute, and the longest discussion in any bill took 39 minutes. It's a shame. It's legislation by stealth. It's shameful that Indian Parliament passes bills between 1 minute and 39 minutes.
Right. So whatever is the government conduct, a lot depends on the opposition. Again, there was an opposition or unity meeting. Somewhere it looks like a procedural exercise that opposition should do at some point in time. People are not very sure about the opposition's understanding and imagination to really put up a big fight against this government.
You're not right. You're not right. You see, the opposition consists of one national party, the Congress, and all the rest are regional parties, one state parties. With great respect, even the CPM, CPI are one state parties. Be that as it may. Therefore, we have now announced on September 20, there will be mass demonstrations in all the states. You are sitting in Delhi and looking at it from a Delhi point of view. Come down to Tamil Nadu, come down to Kerala, come down to Bengal, Maharashtra. There is a lot more ferment, a lot more discussion than you find in Delhi. The language newspapers, the language channels are far more active and vocal and vibrant than the English channels or even the Hindi channels. Therefore, the September 20 agitation will make a mark. But the real mark will be made when the campaign starts for the 5 state elections. See, it's really in an election time that issues are debated fiercely and ferociously, and the government is bound to answer. The government can't run away when people go on the stage or a social media or other media outlets and ask very, very hard questions. Right. You watch the 5 state elections, there will be a very vigorous questioning of the government, and the government can't run away without answering.
Agreed, sir. मेरा एक और क्वेश्चन, ये डेलिब्रेशन और डिबेट तो बिल्कुल ठीक है, लेकिन जो अपोजिशन का स्टेटमेंट आया मीटिंग के बाद उसमें 2-3 कीवर्ड है। सिस्टमेटिकली प्लान करना होगा 2024 इलेक्शन के लिए, और दूसरा कि पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट और कंपल्शंस को अलग रखना होगा, और वी हैव टू राइज अबव ऑल ऑफ दीज लिमिटेशंस। बात तो बिल्कुल ठीक है। सिंगल माइंडेड प्लान का मतलब सिंपल है सर, कि सिंगल वन ऑन वन इलेक्शन आप करा पाएंगे कि नहीं करा पाएंगे लोकसभा में, क्या वो हालात बन सकते हैं?
It's not a very complicated plan. See, ultimately, opposition unity has to translate to fielding one candidate in every seat against the BJP candidate. That's all it matters. If the BJP's ally stands on that seat, you will have to field one candidate against a BJP ally. I don't know how many will be BJP allies in the parliament election. For example, take the next round of 5 elections. We've got elections in Uttarakhand, which is practically a straight fight between Congress and BJP. We have an election in Punjab, where it will be a triangular fight between Congress, Akali Dal and AAP. BJP is nowhere in the picture. Then you have Goa, which is practically a straight fight between Congress and BJP. The AAP may play a spoiler. And then we have Uttar Pradesh, the big prize. It's largely, it looks like it, a fight between SP and the BJP, with others playing a lesser role. And the fifth one is Manipur, which is a fight between BJP and Congress. Therefore, it's not very difficult in these 5 states for all the parties which met yesterday to agree on one candidate, even if, say, NCP is not present, say, in Uttarakhand. NCP flag will be part of the alliance. It should be, according to me. If TMC does not have a presence in Goa, it doesn't matter. The TMC flag must be part of the alliance in Goa. If that message goes and you field one candidate against a BJP candidate, I think the results are going to be quite interesting.
सर, आपने जो स्टेट्स का बताया, कई जगह स्ट्रेट फाइट पॉसिबल है, लेकिन बहुत सारे स्टेट्स हैं जहां इश्यूज होंगे, जैसे कि यूपी में बीएसपी और आम आदमी पार्टी कुछ और स्टेट्स में जाएगी जो वोट काटने का काम करेगी। इसी तरीके से केरल में लेफ्ट फ्रंट और यूनाइटेड फ्रंट के सामने, कांग्रेस फ्रंट के सामने, वहां पर भी इशू होंगे। इसी तरीके से उड़ीसा में क्या होगा, और आंध्रा और तेलंगाना में क्या होगा?
See, in Andhra and in Telangana and in Odisha, please remember they are post-election supporters of the BJP government of the center. When it comes to elections in their respective states, they will fight the BJP. Naveen Patnaik will fight the BJP in every seat.
So in Lok Sabha,
Jagan Reddy will fight the BJP in every seat.
So are you saying?
Therefore, yes, go ahead.
Sorry. Are you saying that in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, you will allow TRS and Jagan Reddy to take on, and Congress will not fight them?
No, I didn't say that. That you're putting words. I said these so-called allies of BJP are allies only outside an election. In an election, they are not allies. They are bitter rivals. Now, say, for example, if Chandrasekhar Rao joins opposition unity, obviously he will take the lead in fighting the BJP. But if he does not join the opposition alliance, then we will also fight in Telangana. Now, what results we will get is a different matter, but we will certainly fight and we will win some seats. In a 3-cornered contest, we will also win some seats. Same thing in Odisha, same thing in Andhra.
So your analysis suggests that you are practically seeing a scenario based on your analysis that 70 to 80% single one-on-one fight is possible, not 100%.
No, I say 100% is never possible. It's like it's possible only now in modern examinations. You get 100%. 100% is never possible. When I finished school, no English master, teacher will give you more than 70, 75% in English. Even if everything is right, he won't give you. Therefore, 100% we are not talking about. We are talking about the real politic. The real politic is, we think if opposition unity consolidates, we can field one candidate in at least 400 seats. In the remaining, as you rightly said, it depends upon what Jagan and Chandrasekhar Rao and Naveen Patnaik do. We don't know, because elections are 3 years away. 3 years is a long time in politics.
So this is an interesting reference point, that 400 seats are a real possibility of one-on-one contest.
No, we must work hard towards that possibility. It's not a possibility yet. It is, okay. It is today within our reach. Whether we will be able to grasp the opportunity depends upon opposition unity. It's within our reach. It's not impossible. I'll put it this way. It is not impossible to field one candidate against the BJP in a minimum of 400 seats.
Agreed. And the issue, because what will happen in media and public conversation, the question will be ki PM kaun banega, aapka neta kaun, opposition ke contradiction. I know there are answers to these questions, but how do you really communicate and convince that this is not an important question that opposition leaders from Mr. Sonia Gandhi to Mr. Pawar or Mr. Stalin or Ms. Mamata Banerjee are really concerned about?
See, you are assuming that every one of the leaders who met yesterday is selfish and self-centered. Why do you make that assumption? You see, Mrs. Gandhi, Mr. Sharad Pawar, Ms. Mamata Banerjee, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray have all reached high positions because of their sacrifice and work in the party. To assume that everybody is so selfish and so self-centered is wrong. Just when you express your pain, I express my anguish that in this country, liberty is being eroded, autocracy is taking over. These leaders also feel very strongly, which is why they met yesterday, and they will continue to meet quite often. So if you concede to them the same sense of pain and anguish which you and I feel, I'm sure they will find a way in which to contest the elections, and we can talk about forming a government after we win the elections. We are not yet won the election. The elections are 3 years away. We are working towards building opposition unity, and I'm very happy that the work has started 3 years ahead of the election. Usually, such efforts take place 6 months before the election. At least now, we've got the work started for 2024, even in 2021. That's a very good sign.
A very interesting analysis. As always, आपका analysis बहुत ही incisive होता है, कोई agree करे या disagree. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are truthful, unafraid and independent because of you. Now you can help our reporting from the ground. Go to thequint.com, click Become a Member tab, choose a plan and pay. Because the truth is worth it.